Hey everybody, what's going on? Borrow here, back inside of Borderlands 2, and the Handsome Edition is going to be coming out in just under a month now. So I figured let's go ahead and take a minute to kind of talk about some things that I would like to see get changed moving forward, because it's going to be all on the disc now, and everything is here, and it's gonna basically allow for potentially more content, but more importantly, the ability to patch and change some things that have been kind of been a bit of a problem going through Borderlands. So let's go ahead and talk about those. And I want to hear your thoughts of what you think should be changed, because they're going to be, fairly simple changes that could be implemented. So let's go ahead and touch on our first topic, which is loot. Borderlands is all about its loot. It always has been. But I feel like maybe some changes need to be made in order to make it so that way it's a little bit easier to get that loot. I've been thinking of the raid bosses as I've been doing sort of the hunt and other aspects of the game, and I've been wondering, why exactly don't they drop a guaranteed legendary? That should be a thing, right? Why don't we increase the chance to have raid bosses drop their loot? And I was also thinking about going through all of the unique bosses. Why 3%? Seriously. I mean, if we want to get a perfect version of a gun, it's going to take mind-numbing hours to grind out. So why not just increase that 3% by just a little bit more? I've been kind of polling a bunch of different players throughout this sort of hunt event that's been going on Twitch, and it's pretty much been just universally accepted. Like, maybe if it was about 8% or somewhere around there, really we wouldn't have less issues with loot inside of Borderlands 2, and the whole farming aspect wouldn't be as bad. And it would allow, 8% is a pretty decent drop rate. And the reason this is important is not because, you just want to get legendaries earlier. It's because certain items eat legendaries. And let me go ahead and explain this just a little bit more. Whenever you get, let's say you're fighting Bunker. Bunker has a 3% chance to drop his boss loot, which means there's a 3% chance that he will drop something, right? Well, that can be the bitch or the sham. Or it could be a head customization for every single class. So just because you get that boss drop doesn't actually guarantee you're going to get a bitch or a sham. You may just get a Gunzerker head. And this can be infuriating to some people who want to farm. So why not make it just a little bit better? I think 8% is a pretty decent change, so that way it's not like incredibly easy to get the item that you want, but a little bit better, so that way it's not absurdly rare to the point to where you just use gibbed. And touching on that, let's talk about a few of the skills. Maya's Cloud Kill needs to be nerfed, obviously, but no, let's buff some of those skills inside of some of these characters that just aren't that good. For example, Axton's Nuke. That could definitely stand to do more damage. Cloud Kill. Hellfire Heliatosis. Any Gage skill ever. Seriously, there are some of Gage's skills hit for 16,000 on Overpower 8 when a single bullet will do over 200,000. That's not okay. So those are some things that I would like to see changed. Get the changes to the skills so that way they're not completely useless. Allow for a little bit more variety inside of builds. Make loot a little bit easier to obtain, so that way players will have more reasoning to keep farming, because they know, hey, it's not that bad of a drop rate in order to get this item. And I was also thinking of one final aspect, and that's Overpower 8. Now, what can be done to change Overpower 8? Because, well, for all intents and purposes, the reason to go even into Overpower 8 is for the increased difficulty. There's literally no reason to go in there unless you want higher difficulty. There's no extra loot. There's no extra anything. You don't have to touch the peak. You can stay at level 72 and be on your merry way for the rest of your life. That's fine. But I feel like Overpower 8 needs a little bit of a change. One that's... The damage reduction is honestly fine. I'm not too worried about it. It makes bosses pretty damn beefy, and it makes, it makes the raid bosses pretty strong as well. Which, bosses in Borderlands 2 are glorified bullet sponges, but I kind of like that aspect. But maybe we could change it up just a little bit so that way we could use the gear that we may or may not want to use. Most of the loot that you find inside of Overpower 8 is completely useless. You're going to have to farm for all the unique and overpowered items in order to get anywhere in the game because, well, you cannot pick up the gun that you just saw drop and expect to actually kill something. It's not going to happen. But why is that? Because the enemies regen their health in the span of a few seconds. If I wound an enemy and then turn around, they're going to be at full health in just a few seconds. So maybe for Overpower 8, I was thinking instead of just outright removing the health regen, why not give Slag another purpose besides just increased damage? Why not slagging an enemy, remove the amount of healing that they get by say 100%. That way we don't have to worry so much about regen, and it gives Slag a new purpose because some builds inside of Borderlands 2 can just outright kill enemies and they don't even have to worry about health regen. And they don't have to use Slag at all. So why not give Slag that extra purpose? These are some things that I've been thinking about and things that I would like to see changed. Maybe we can touch a little bit more on this, but overall the changes that I've listed are possible and not game-breaking. They're not something that's going to completely change the way the game is played and will allow for a bit more variety and a bit more fun throughout the game, in both the early game and the end game. Let me know what your thoughts on this are, and I look forward to reading through the comments, and maybe we'll touch on a few more topics as we get closer to the Handsome Edition releasing. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video, everyone. Later.